When you return home to Australia after an exhausting long-haul flight, the last thing anyone wants at one of our airports is to be stuck in a massive queue. Well, the Australian Airports Association hopes to see more money from a federal tax on passengers actually used to improve that arrivals process. And CEO Simon Westaway joins us now. Simon, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So first of all, tell us about this passenger movement charge, because some of us probably don't know that this happens. What is it? What's it used for?
Oh, it's a great question. It's been built into our airfares now for the past 30 years. So every international fare that's sold, as long as you're 12 years of age and older, it actually applies and is built into the airfare. So whether or not you're going to Auckland, to Bali or Brussels, in essence it's $70 per passenger.
What is it? I was just going to ask, what is it specifically sort of used for?
Yeah, so the passenger movement charge is meant to, in a public policy sense, fund the border process and the way that passengers are facilitated and that overall security overlay that you'll see and experience every time you travel internationally. What's happened over the years, I guess we've had some creep in that movement charge, so it's actually incrementally gone up, not year on year, but over time. Governments of both colours have increased it. And not all of that charge goes into its specific purpose, which is a safe and well facilitated and efficient border. So
what would you like to see? Would you like to see an increase as well, or would you like just to see it used for something different?
Oh, no, not an increase. At $70, we've got one of the highest departure taxes, if you like, in the world. We're up there with the UK, so nowhere else has the type of scale of that tax. And it's really important because it does fund a lot of the border operations, but it doesn't fund anywhere near enough. And what we're calling for is an additional 5% of the take each year to go specifically into the new modern technologies. So that's your biometrics, it's the assessing the U plus the real U. Importantly, fully digitising the yellow passenger cards that we all fill out when we come into the country. Frustrating for many, but that's an important process. And by taking it all into a digital world, not only does it improve our security, it'll also create a lot greater efficiencies.
So what's the process like now? So, you know, you arrive, you've got the card that you've got to fill out, but some countries have gone away with that altogether, haven't they?
They certainly have, and the weird thing is Australia actually was at the forefront of the technology here. So a lot of Australian technology has been sold in overseas, and it's our technology that's actually processing people more efficiently in many other parts of the world, such as in the Middle East. Now what we're saying is let's get with the program, let's digitise the card, let's get a fully biometric system in place. Not only will it be safer, because it'll very much capture people that are trying to come in for nefarious reasons, but importantly it'll be a lot more efficient. And that's actually the purpose of what we're saying is, as boring as it sounds, having a more efficient border means that our busy airports, we're now back at record volumes of international visitors, both ourselves and people coming in, such as for the Australian Open this week, we can actually have a much better, more efficient, safer border.
Are you looking across, you know, all airports in Australia, or are the specific ones that you would be targeting?
Yeah, so we've got around a dozen gateways now that either intermittently or on a full-time basis process passengers. So our big four airports such as Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, they take the bulk of our international arrivals and departures, obviously, but around 12 gateways now across the country. And it's a really good insight because places such as Broome have been sort of innovatively developing seasonal flying to Singapore. That could really grow. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the world, as we all know, but accessibility is always difficult. But if we had a more efficient border processing arrangement in a place like Broome, it would actually address the cost of airfares better and allow for more growth.
This is an election year,
yes.
So everyone's got their wish list for whoever comes in and is voted in government. What would you like to see in terms of competition in our airlines and airports?
Well, we have good competition, in particular internationally. There's over 50 airlines now flying back into Australia, and Qantas obviously competes very well against them. Domestically, it's always been hard. We have two obviously major airline groups. We obviously had the problems with Rex, which continue to operate in a regional setting, but they're under voluntary administration at the moment. It's a very difficult one. Our market's big enough to have more airlines, no question. It comes down to the economics. Those loyalty programs and other aspects often hook people in. But we'd love to see government travel opened up more. We think the ACCC should continue to be funded to really look at competition in the aviation market. Nothing like having the ACCC overlooking your shoulder, which creates greater competition. And there's a lot of microeconomic reforms that are now coming in, such as changes to the slot system at Sydney Airport, but we think there's other efficiencies that we can look at as well. Those little 1%ers could all add up to, we think, a more competitive market. And the Australians embrace competition. We love travel. Even in a cost of living crisis, we're still seeing a lot of people putting money aside for that trip abroad or interstate.
OK, Simon Westaway, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.